China is behind a bloody civil war, and now it's trying to pretend to be a peacemaker. Welcome to China Uncensored. I'm Chris Chappell, and I need your help. I want to make China Uncensored even better, but to do that, I need your feedback. I've got a link below to a survey. It'll take 5 minutes to fill out. And at the end of the survey, there's something special for you that'll help us fight against YouTube's shadow banning. Link to the survey is below. And now, on with the show. China's playing a dangerous game in the neighboring Myanmar. It's backing multiple opposing factions in the civil war-torn country. And it's a mess and a half. You see, Myanmar, which shares a 1,200-mile border with China, is currently engaged in a bloody civil war that's been raging since 2021.
The widespread peaceful protests that followed were put down by the junta with a brutal crackdown. Scores of opposition protesters fled the cities for the mountainous jungles that make up much of the country. Pro-democracy militias and armed ethnic groups united with the common goal of overthrowing the junta.
So there's a bunch of different factions involved, and the CCP has a lot of different interests in this war. Now, obviously, China wants to maintain the security of its border and protect Chinese citizens from spillover, like what happened in January when a stray artillery shell injured 5 Chinese citizens in a town on the border. Or in March of this year when airstrike bombs hit China as the war escalated in Myanmar. China takes the security of its border with Myanmar pretty seriously. Last month, after the junta performed an airstrike on an insurgent base on the border with China, China fired at least 10 warning shots into Myanmar. Chinese planes were also seen in the area. But border security isn't the only concern for China. It also wants to protect its economic interests within Myanmar. As War on the Rocks explains, it perceives both threats to its multi-billion-dollar investments under the Belt and Road Initiative's China-Myanmar Economic Corridor and opportunities to take advantage of an ailing and dependent junta with accelerated economic projects. Both of these ends are served by backing the military junta, headed by Senior General Min Aung Hlaing. Since April of 2022, China has vowed support for the junta no matter how the situation changes. Chinese officials continue to meet with General Min, and China is, along with Russia, sending arms to Myanmar's military. But another reason for supporting the junta is to prevent India from gaining a foothold in Myanmar. India is calling for the restoration of democracy in Myanmar. However, according to a UN report from last May, it also dispatched $51 million worth of military-related exports to the junta. India is basically competing with China for influence over the junta. But if you think China's support begins and ends with the junta, you're wrong. You see, Myanmar has a teensy-tiny issue with large-scale criminal operations that kidnap people and force them to work in scam centers where they defraud other people of billions of dollars, like lots of billions, $64 billion annually. All of the people involved, the criminal owners, the kidnapped scammers, and the scam victims are often Chinese. But here's where things get even more complicated. Even though criminal syndicates and triads are often linked directly to the Chinese Communist Party, the party isn't entirely happy with these scam centers. They've even demanded the junta crack down on the scam industry. But the junta didn't. Some believe it's because they're incompetent, others believe they were paid off. So in order to put pressure on the junta to do more about these criminal syndicates, China made a deal with one of the rebel factions in Myanmar's civil war, the Three Brotherhood Alliance, which includes some communist sympathizers. The Three Brotherhood Alliance was already dependent on Chinese arms passed along by the drug cartel, the United Wa State Army, which has its own Chinese connections. But the CCP is also getting more directly involved. According to The Guardian, an October 2023 offensive known as Operation 1027 and led by the Three Brotherhood Alliance was coordinated with China's security services, in return for the alliance promising Beijing it would crack down on the billion-dollar Myanmar-based online scams and people trafficking from China. That Chinese support for one of Myanmar's biggest rebel factions seems to have been very motivating for the ruling junta. Shortly after, Myanmar's military attempted to arrest a notorious cybercrime boss in November of 2023, although he killed himself during the arrest. However, the junta was so outraged at the alleged Chinese coordination of Operation 1027 that it reportedly authorized anti-China protests in some cities. So in December 2023, China decided to cool things down a bit by attempting to broker a ceasefire between the junta and the Three Brotherhood Alliance. That didn't really work out for them, since the alliance seized an important trade hub from the junta despite the ceasefire, and shortly after took the junta command center in the region. So where's the situation now? Well, Myanmar is still about as stable as a Chinese bridge, despite a China-brokered ceasefire agreement in January, and March, and July. The problem is nobody really trusts the CCP to be an honest peace broker, and it's easy to see why. China has repeatedly sought to be a peacemaker between Russia and Ukraine while continuing to provide lethal support to Russia. Same thing in Iran. China wants to broker peace in the Middle East, but continues to support the Tehran even after its attack on Israel. And in Myanmar, because China has partnerships with various rebel groups while arming the military junta, its efforts to broker a ceasefire have collapsed over and over again. China is hedging its bets because it can't be certain which side will win the civil war. It wants business as usual with whichever side wins, and in doing so, prolongs an already long and bloody civil war. And now, it's time to answer a question from a member of the China Uncensored 50-Cent Army, fans who make this show possible by contributing on patreon.com/China Uncensored. And today's question comes from Insider. Awesome performance. Do you practice with other items also? Nunchuck, samurai sword, etc.? Insider is responding to a special video I posted to the China Uncensored 50-Cent Army on Patreon, a footage of me in a martial arts competition this past weekend where I performed a stick form. I actually took home a silver medal. I don't talk about this too much, but I've been practicing traditional Chinese martial arts for over 10 years. That's because I really love Chinese culture, which is why I'm so dedicated to exposing the CCP. So to answer your question, Insider, yes, I have trained with other weapons, like the Dao, straight sword, and a few others that I have no idea the name of and can't find any pictures of online. I found practicing Chinese martial arts to be incredibly rewarding and would highly recommend it. Thanks for your question and your support, Insider. Join me on Patreon by clicking that orange button, and here's a video I want you to see from my new gaming channel. It's about a very based game called Dark Souls. Once again, I'm Chris Chappell. See you next time.